Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Universal Furniture. I'm Kayla Miller, the Director of Marketing here at Universal. And before I hand it over to Gail, I have a few things I would like to highlight that we have happening in our showroom this market. We've introduced two new collections this market, Dwell, which is located on floor 2, as well as an addition to our modern collection on floor 3. While you're here in the showroom, please stop by the front desk, check in, grab a scanner. You can go throughout our showroom scanning some of your favorite pieces, and then you'll get a wish list emailed to you with everything that you scan while you're here in our showroom. We also have a dedicated designers lounge where we're giving away swag bags. You can get a hair touch up. It's a place for designers to connect, kind of catch up on emails. It's a dedicated space for you guys here in our showroom. Thank you again for joining us today. Now help me give a warm welcome to Gail.
All right, good morning, everybody. You guys are up bright and early, and it's so gray today. We kind of picked Sundays for some reason, and it seems like it's always rainy or gray or whatever, but it's okay. So today, I'd like to know a little bit about some of you, and if you would call out any of the issues that you're currently having with your own business, I would love to hear about that today. But before I do that, I'm going to just share with you that at this market, we have introduced our brand new not salary survey, but our industry survey has just come out, and I'm going to share some data with you today, which I think will be really interesting. And I'll also share with you some things that you can do to counteract some of the problems that you're having in your business too. But the reason we do this survey, we partner with Business of Home and also with Interior Talent, and we have several other sponsors for this particular survey. And I believe, do we have cards for that? Okay, perfect. So these little cards, if you will scan this, you can download this. Don't be scared of this, 72-page report. But it is so cool because there are case studies in here which are fascinating. And you can hear from other designers who are dealing with whatever the issues are. And I know a few people probably have felt a little bit of a slowdown in the last year and a half, 2 years. So I would encourage you to read this because there's a lot of great information that will help you in your business. So we have one person from Germany, all the way from Germany. So we're happy to have you here, the furthest distance, I would think. Anybody else from another country? No? Okay. And so we have people everywhere from Florida to Alabama and Austin, and it's great to see you all here at Market. So I know that a lot of people are finding that business has been a little bit weird in the last year and a half. Anybody noticing that? Okay. So it is very true. It is very, very true. In fact, what was so startling, and I'm going to share this with you because I was just stunned by this result. There is a company called BizMiner, and we got our data from them because it's so interesting. The net profit, which is what's left over after you've paid yourself, you've paid your team, you've paid all the expenses to operate your business, the average last year for all firms. Anybody have a guess at how low that was? 3%. So think about that. If you had $1 million business, 3% of that is $30,000. That's a lot of work to get a $30,000 return. So that's where we were in this last period of 2023. And here's something even worse. The people that had businesses between $1 million and $2.5 million, it was actually zero. Zero. Has anybody seen that they're making less money than they've ever made before? Just raise your hands. And do not be shy about that. Because honestly, you've got good company here. A lot of people have gone through that in the last year. And so I'm going to give you some ways today so that you can get past that and actually make more money without having more clients. Would that be a good thing to do? Okay, let's do that today. So be sure and stay till the end because I promise you it'll be worth the last slide, okay? And you're going to want to take a picture of that slide because it's going to give you some really interesting data that you will not believe. So here's another thing that we found this year in the survey is that 57% of the design firm owners charge hourly plus markup. And in the past, it's been a little bit higher than that. and about a third are charging fixed fees plus a markup. So it's really interesting. The people that charge fixed fees, I do a lot. I'm a data person. I happen to have a finance degree. So for me, I look at how people are charging, and when I look at their financials, what I find is people that charge fixed fees are usually losing a lot of money. They're leaving money on the table, so be really careful of doing that. If you're going to do a fixed fee, I would tell most of you that you probably need to double whatever you're charging in a fixed fee to be able to make some money. Well, that's easy enough to do because that's one of the ways that you don't have to have another client. You just have to charge more per client. So how many of you feel uncomfortable charging or talking about money? Anybody have those? Anybody not have that issue? Okay, a few of you don't. I love that. Okay, you should share your secrets on that with everybody else. Because for a lot of people, it's really hard to charge what you're worth. And I promise you, you all are worth it. And if you're not making enough money at the end of the year, or 0% or 3%, then whatever you're doing, you need to increase your rates and you need to do your markups higher because the combination will really help you. So there are a lot of people in here that are struggling to figure out how to find that right balance of how big their firm needs to be, how many clients they need, how many projects they need, how to charge properly. Anybody struggle with charging the right fee? Yeah, there's a lot of that. I think that that is a pretty common thing. So here are some of the challenges that a lot of people have. And if you're unsure about how to grow your business, you're having a difficult time acquiring enough ideal clients. Does that sound familiar? You're having trouble getting enough of the right kinds of projects. You're not sure how to price your services. You're getting shopped by clients. Anybody get shopped by your clients all the time? Yep. Your financial results aren't paying the bills. And you might be a little bit uncomfortable with trying to hire people because you're afraid you're not going to have enough money to pay them. But I will tell you that small changes can give you big payoffs, and I'll show you how to do that today. So designers that have been in business 5 years or less, and those that reported 2023 revenues of 250,000 or less, were more likely to rank not sure how to grow my business as their biggest problem. And it really requires a lot of thinking about your business and about what your vision is and how you want to build your business. So how many of you have actually sat down and written out a vision statement for your business? Anybody have those? A few of you do, okay. I'm going to encourage you to do this because if you know what you want to build, you can build it. But if you don't know where you're going, it's like going out on a trip and you don't know which direction you're going to go. And you can go this way or that way, but it may or may not get you to that end destination. So it's really good to have a vision for your business and a plan to get there. And the other piece is it's really helpful to know why you're doing what you're doing. So it's great to have the vision, but it's also really important to know why you're doing this. And for some people, they want to do it because they love the business, they love design, they love having clients, they love creating beautiful spaces. But really, you're in the business of running a business that happens to do interior design. So it's really critically important for you to think about a shift in mindset of you just being somebody who's a creative to somebody who's running a business. And if you can shift to that, you'll find that you're going to make more money. It's just a really interesting little mental game that you can play with yourself. So one of the things I like to encourage people to do is to understand their numbers. And a lot of people don't like numbers. How many of you think you're not good with numbers? Okay. You know what? You're not alone either. But I can promise you that you can learn how to do numbers. I'm going to share a story. One of my clients who is an architect was getting into the interior design business part two. She came to me and she said to me, I can remember this from the very beginning. And we were doing a VIP day, and that's a day where we just spend a really intense day diving into the business. And she said, I just don't get the numbers. They just go right over my head. And I said, you know what? I bet you I can show you how to learn this and that you will overcome your fear of numbers. And she said, oh, I don't know about that. I said, okay. So about an hour into it, I saw tears coming down her face. I said, why are you crying? She said, I finally get it. And she had never understood the numbers. But I promise you, if you understand your numbers, then you're going to make more money. But you can't do it unless you get over your fear of the numbers. So please do trust me on this one. You can learn it, and we have classes. We even offer free classes on financials so that you can learn that. So I want you to think about what you want to do with your business, and I hope you're taking some notes today, because I'd like you to do a little bit of thinking as I go through this list for you. Think about what kind of business you want to build. So we talked about vision a few minutes ago, and I encourage people to think about 10 years down the road. What is your business going to look like? How many people will you have on your team? Who will you serve? What kind of clients are you going to have? What size projects will you have? And if you can define what your vision is and your why, then you can figure out, do I want to have different verticals for my business? And what that means is, am I doing residential, commercial, hospitality, institutional work? What kind of work am I doing in my business? So if you can think about what kind of business you want to go after, then you can get very strategic about how you go about building that. So what I would suggest is, as you're starting to think about this, and you think about what verticals you want to be in, if you want to be residential and commercial, well, what kind of commercial? Do you want to do restaurants? Do you want to do boutique hotels? What is it that is commercial to you? So some people have learned, and I think this is a really good thing to learn, one of our firms that's here in town has diversified their business into 4 different areas, because they know when the economy goes down that some of the parts of their business will be strong and others will not. So you need to be able to be a little bit nimble and move into other areas so that you can grow even during the times when it's a little bit quieter. Here's another thing. How many of you know how much it costs you to operate your business? Do you have a number? Okay, a couple of you raise your hand. You know how much it costs you to run your business every week or every month. If you know how to, what your costs are, then you can start figuring out, how can I make more money with those costs? If my cost is $50,000 a month to operate my business, how can I cut my cost and make more money? So we have to really think about how to do that. How big of a team do you want to have? How many of you have a team? Okay, how many do you have? Okay, 3. 3? 10? Okay, good for you. All right, and so you think about managing people. Do you feel comfortable managing people? How many of you are a little scared of managing people? Or don't like it? Okay, yeah, that's pretty common. A lot of people don't like it. But you can also outsource quite a bit of business and grow your business without having team members that are in your space. So there are a lot of ways to go about this. Who do you need to have on your team, and how do you attract that top talent? I think that's a really big one, and it's in our survey. We have a lot of data and a lot of information to help you figure out how to find that top talent. And today, if you have top talent on your team, you've got 10 people, you've got other people that are helping you make money in your business. So the idea is, if you're working solo, if you go on vacation, if you get sick, there's nobody running the business. And that means that you aren't paying the bills if you're not able to work. So I'll give you another story. We have a client, and she came to me, and this is a long time ago, it's 10 years ago, and she came to us, and she was not making very much money. She was making probably about $50,000 a year. And she said, you know, this is really frustrating because I am working so hard, but I'm only making 50 grand a year. And I said, okay. So we started working with her. And one of the first things I did with her was to get her to double her rates, which scared her to death. And so she went to the first person, and she doubled her rates. And we talked about it. I coached her on what to say. And she raised her rates. And the person said, okay, sure, that's fine. I'm happy to pay you that, because she had worked for him for years and hadn't raised her rates. She went to the second person. Same thing happened. She goes to the third person, and that person said, this is really interesting. I have no problem paying your rates, and I need to do this. So he said, well, how did you come around to doing this? She said, well, my business coach told me I needed to do this. And so she really turned her business around because she just did that one simple thing. She doubled her rates. And interestingly, about a year later, I heard from somebody on her team that she became very ill. In fact, she became so ill that she was unable to work for about 3 months. But she had gone from not having any reserves in her business to 100,000 of reserves, and she was able to pay her team and herself during this period of time and then come back and still operate her business. So it's really important for those of you who do not have team members to think about the fact that you are really putting your business at risk if it's just you. So think about the benefit of having top talent on your team. So think about how much you want to earn, and I think that's a really good place to start with numbers. How much do you want to earn in your business? And one of the things that we found in our numbers this year is that we had people making anywhere from, that were owners of the business, $75,000 a year to $300,000 or more. So where would you like to be on that continuum? Anybody want to be in 300,000 or more? Okay. And if you want to be at 300,000 or more, it's entirely possible. We have a lot of our clients that do that. And in fact, we had, I think, 5 clients so far have hit the $1 million net profit after they've paid their salaries, which are at least 200,000 a year. So when you hit that point in your business, then you can do almost anything you want to do. So this is a matter of choice. And if you'll choose what it is you want to shoot for, you can get there. What profit margin do you need to sustain and to grow your business? So obviously, breaking even is not going to do it. 3% is not going to do it. You need to get to a higher level. In the last year, a lot of our clients, we actually do, every year, we do competition, and we find out who grew the most and what their net profit was. And our clients did $84 million of revenue last year. And our clients made 13.3% net profit versus the 3% of the industry. So what they've done is done a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, which will also help you in your business. So remember that as you start figuring out what you want, then you need to create a financial model for yourself, which means you need to actually do a model of how much is your revenue going to be, what is your markup going to be, what is your cost of goods, which means all the things that you buy for your clients, and then how much is your operating cost for your business, and then what is your net profit. So a model will figure out all of those things. And it will also help you figure out if I add people and I pay them a certain amount of money, how much will I make by having those people on my team? You hire people, you add people to your team because they make money for you, okay? And it's great to have help, but it's really about making money in the end. And it's not a bad thing to make money. I promise you, it's not a bad thing. So I think that it was really interesting that a lot of the challenges that people were talking about in this industry report was that they were having difficulty acquiring the ideal clients so that they could hit those profit numbers. I think it's really important also for you to think about, with this being one of the top challenges, why are you not getting those ideal clients? Anybody have an idea for themselves? Why do you think you're not getting the ideal clients that you need? Anybody have an idea? Yes.
I think I need to review the marketing that I haven't been doing.
Okay.
And I think it's all about that.
Okay, she needs to review the marketing that she hasn't been doing and figure out how that's affecting her not getting those clients. I would 100% agree with that. Anybody else? Yes. Sure. Sure. Okay, so visibility, and you need to branch out so that you can be seen more. So how many of you are on the first page of Google? Okay, a few of you are. If you're not on the first page of Google, it's really hard to find somebody. So wherever you are, if you go search on the internet and you find out where you rank, some of you will be surprised how far back on Google that you actually are. So it's really important that you think about this, that you're visible and that you are doing the right kind of marketing to bring in the right kind of people. So one of the things that I'm finding too is a lot of designers in some of the most competitive markets are not getting the projects that they want. They're smaller projects than they've ever been. And what I'm finding, especially in this last 18 months, is that some of our clients, even in New York City and LA and some of the bigger markets, are finding that the clients that they're getting are coming to them and saying, I want to do a room. I'm ready to do a bedroom or a living room, and things that they would not normally have taken, they are taking now because they need the work and they need to keep their business going. So that's one of the things, is the difficulty of acquiring really good clients. So again, marketing is an issue, being visible is an issue, and you really do need to evaluate what your marketing is. So business challenge number 2 is project minimums and packaging. This is a really great way of dealing with a very difficult and flexible market that we're in right now. So if you can get yourself to project minimums that you will take, you may find that in this period of time, some people actually put it on their website and say, I'm going to, I take projects of 50,000 and above or 100,000 and above. You may find that during this period of time that you actually want to drop your minimums and take smaller projects. And there is no shame in that, in taking smaller projects during this period of time. But one of the things I would suggest is that you think about how you're packaging your services at this time. So what some people will do is they will put together a pricing package, and they might do 10 or 20 hours as a starting point. And especially when the market is soft, if you can get somebody to commit to 10 to 20 hours and they start working with you for a period of time, then they start feeling comfortable. So it might be worth trying that for a period of time to get a project started. And what you'll find is often those bigger projects will come afterwards. So I would encourage you to do that. So one of the things that we were talking to one of our clients that's out in San Francisco, and again, they had that's been very flat for them for the last year or so. And so we talked about how they could put packages together for contractors and also for builders. And again, this is something that if you like renovation or new construction, I would think about putting together packages for these people because they need your help and they don't want to deal with the clients. And if you go to these people and say, I think one of the things that I hear most often from builders or contractors is it's very difficult to manage the clients and get their decisions made in time that you can stay on schedule and on budget. And is that a common problem? Anybody have that? Okay. So that is exactly how you get in the door with a builder or contractor and say, you know, I think I can help you solve a problem for yourself. So if you can share with them how you're able to do this and take that off their plate and help them run a project more efficiently, you're going to be their best friend. They will love you if you can help them get the clients to make the decisions. So this is a really great way during this period of time for you to start putting a package together and just say, if I can do all your specifications for you, I'll do all the hard specifications on your remodel or your new construction project and possibly do that at a fixed fee. But again, fixed fees, just remember, probably your instinct will be to be cheap, but I would encourage you to probably double what you think you should charge. So give that a try and see what the market will bear. But if you can get your clients or these new people to work with you, you can get in the door. And one of the things that I found in my business when I was running my interior design business, we had a construction finishes department. We literally, that's what we did. We did new construction and renovation work, and that was the door to more residential work. So once you got in that project and you were working with a contractor or builder, that client got to know you, and then you were able to get the furnishings. So that's a really good inroad into the business, is to get into a different line of business. Here's another one. We talked about getting shopped by consumers today. How many of you are experiencing that? Anybody not experiencing that? Double hands? Okay, we've got a few of those. Okay. I think this is really an interesting situation. A lot of people are shopping today because they can get online and they can take a picture of something and they can find out where they can buy that for less money. But they don't know the difference between a good quality product and something that they just see that looks very similar to what they're seeing. So I think education is going to be your extra little something that you can give to consumers. So really think about how you can educate consumers. And you might even have a buying guide about how to buy great quality furnishings that will be, you know, long lasting in your home. So if you have kids and dogs and all those different things, you want to have really great performing fabrics. You want to have greatly constructed furnishings. So why don't you put together a guide and put that on your website that people can download? That's a way to educate your clients before you get them. So here's another challenge that we have today. And one of the things to getting really great clients today is having confidence and the knowledge to do whatever it is that you want to accomplish. What we're finding is that those clients, and there are a couple of you back here, which I love, are very confident about your fees. The more that you are confident about your fees, the higher the fees are that you're going to get. I promise you, if you act confident, you will get the fees. But if you are unsure and you're not sure that you can get the fees, you will not get the fees. So this is a mindset thing that I think is in the way for a lot of people making money in this business. So I want you to not apologize for your fees and be very, very strong about what you're asking for, because consumers are looking for you to be confident in what you're doing. If you're not, they won't trust you with the design work either. So be sure to be confident when you're having those conversations with people. And don't be afraid of talking about money. The more that you can bring it up, it is the elephant in the room. And if you can discuss it on the front end and say, you know, let's talk about what you've thought about investing in your home. Are you thinking about spending $200,000, $300,000, $400,000? If you can start getting them to react to whatever that is, you'll find out what their comfort zone is, and then you have a starting point to figure out a budget. Does that make sense? So try that, and also think about the fact that very small changes in your markups and your hourly rates can make a huge difference to your bottom line. So don't be afraid of raising your rates even when the market is soft. Sometimes it's the best thing you can do because you can do less business, but you can make more money. So if you're charging $200 an hour now, raise it to $220, raise it to $240. And that difference will be marginal for the client, but it'll be amazing for your bottom line. So consider that as well. So when you have financial challenges and it's not paying the bills and you're not earning what you really need, we do not want to be doing hope marketing. So we were talking about marketing a few minutes ago, and hope marketing does not pay the bills. And what I think is hope marketing is when people are waiting for the phone to ring. So a lot of people have that strategy. They say, well, I'm just not getting the right projects. And they're not getting the right projects because they're not actually doing the networking and the outbound marketing. So when you are in this situation, you need to think about the fact if the phone is not ringing and you're depending on that, that is not a good way to run your business, because then you're just waiting for things to come to you and you have no control over what those projects might be. So you need to be doing the outbound marketing. And the other thing is the hope marketing is not necessarily going to pay the bills. And I also think a lot of people just hope that they'll have nice clients and they hope that they have nice budgets. But you've got to be really proactive about this and go after the projects that you want. So your past actions are going to determine your current results. So here's the thing. When you have a period of time where your pipeline is low, it means that you were not doing marketing at least 3 to 6 months prior to that. So if you're experiencing that dip in your business, that's exactly what's going on. So you have to be consistent in your marketing efforts, and also think about the fact that you're not waiting for the phone to ring, but you're going out and you're meeting with people such as your builders, your contractors, your realtors, people that can refer business, and you're asking your top clients for referrals, because that's where you're going to get your better projects. So be proactive about that and do it consistently. So here's a great story from another client of ours, and she's at Market. And I remember her talking to me years ago, and she's been a client for at least 10 years. And she had a period of time before we met, and she was just dead in the water. There were no projects, and she had a staff, and she had to lay people off. And she decided one day to try a very simple technique, and I encourage you all to try this. She got 50 note cards, and she wrote 50 notes to builders, contractors, past clients, and current clients. She restarted her business, and she runs a multi-million-dollar business today. So do not think that the small, simple things don't work. I would highly encourage you to try some of these techniques because they really make a difference. The other thing I want you to think about too is that as you're trying to build your business, remember that marketing is a consistent activity. You cannot just expect that your business is going to continue when you're busy. That's the time you need to market the most because you're filling that future pipeline. So if you wait until your market or until it's dropped down to the bottom, you were not marketing 3 to 6 months prior to that. So think about that for yourself right now. If you're experiencing that lull, that's probably exactly what happened. So think about, what was I doing marketing-wise 3 to 6 months ago? And you'll probably find that, oh, I was so busy, I just didn't have time to do it. You never can do that. You always have to be marketing. And if you can't do it, then you need to outsource that marketing. You also need to be asking for referrals at all times. So the time to market is always. It is never a time when you don't want to market. So anyway, as you're thinking about this, I really want you to plan ahead and develop marketing materials and have a set way that you're going about things. How many of you have project management software? Anybody have that? A few of you do, okay. And how many of you are using Asana? Anybody using it? Okay, one person's using it. Okay, it is such a great tool. It's so simple. You can use it for free, and you can create a list of things that you can work on and set up a 90-day marketing calendar, which will really make a huge difference in your business if you have consistent marketing. So I would just really encourage you to get in the mode of planning and then outsourcing it or having somebody on your team help you. So if you're not busy, give it to your designers to help you do the marketing. There is no reason you can't do that. And they can help you with the referrals and the note cards and all of these different things. So I've given you a couple of things that I think would be very useful to you and will help you in your business. But I want to talk about one of the fun things. And I told you at the beginning that you should stay till the end because there's this really great slide that we have here that it looks a little bit weird, and I encourage you to take a picture of this, okay? And this is what I call small changes equal big payoffs. And if I'm in your way, let me get out of the way. Can everybody see that? Okay. So remember I said little changes make a big difference. And this is not getting more clients. This is getting more money from the clients that you have. So take a look at this grid, and I'll show you what we did. And I'm actually going to sit over here so I can see this with you. And I'm going to walk you through this. So let's just say that you have a business that's doing $425,000 of product sales. And your time billing, you're billing $150 an hour times 500 hours a year, which is about 25% of your time. So that means you're billing out at $75,000. So you're going to have a revenue of $500,000 in your business. And let's say that your markup is 25%. So you're going to pay $340,000 for your product. That means that when you take the revenue, which is $500,000 minus $340,000, leaves you $160,000 of profit, which has to cover all of the overhead and salary that you pay yourself and anybody else on your team. And in this case, you're making $20,000 of net profit, which is 4% net profit. And remember I said earlier that it was 3% net profit was typical for the industry for last year? This is exactly how this comes about. So let's look at one change that you can make. Let's say that you increase your sales by 20%. So you go from 425,000 of sales to 510,000. Nothing else changes in your business. All you did was increase your sales by 20%. And that doesn't even take that much to get one more project, right? So your net profit would be 37,000. So you have increased your net margin to 6%, which is $37,000. So that was a simple thing that you could do. So let's take another one. Let's increase your markup by 20%. So your markup goes from 25% to 20% of that is 5%. So it goes to 30%. And all of a sudden what happens, nothing else changes. You're still doing the same amount of time billing. But look at what happens with the bottom line. You end up making 7% net profit. The next one is if you increase your time by 20%, you go from 75,000 a year of billing to 90,000. So you have 90,000 of billing and your total sales are 515. Your net profit also is at 7%. So you've gone from 4% to 7% just by increasing your time. The third, or the last one over here, is you've increased your overhead or decreased it by 20%. So you didn't increase your sales, you didn't increase your time billing, your sales are still 500,000, and you have actually increased your bottom line to 7% just by that one thing. But look what happens if you did all of those things. If you increase your sales by 20%, if you increase your markup by 20%, you increase your time billing by 20%, and decrease your overhead by 20%, you go from 4% to 14% net profit. So you didn't actually add any more clients, you actually just made more money doing what you're doing. Anybody interested in trying this? These are really simple things that I'm sharing with you, and if you can just do those small, simple tweaks, you could make a huge difference in your business. And I would encourage you all to go back and put these in place immediately because they will make a huge, huge difference in your business. Anybody learn anything just now?
I have been kind of torn between, I've been doing hourly for years.
Uh-huh.
Now I hear from a lot of the coaches that we should be doing a design fee as opposed to hourly. I think you're kind of encouraging us to do hourly. Is that right?
You know, either you have to double your fixed fees or you go hourly. And what I've found with most people is the reason they're hitting the 4% and all is they're doing fixed fees.
Fixed fee. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're doing fixed fees. And when I look at people's financial statements, and I start chatting with them, I can look at it and then I can say, well, if you were to build hourly, this is what you would have brought in your business. And it's usually at least twice. So they're underbilling by a lot, by at least 50%. So I'd say be very, very cautious. If you do not know what your profit margins are and what your markups are, then you're going to be shocked at how low they are if you do fixed fees. So you need to model whatever you're doing and understand how to make money at this. And a lot of people, when they do the fixed fees, they just have unlimited hours, and that leads to you losing money every single time. Have another question? Yeah, but some people don't. Yeah, that's a great idea. Boundaries are great. And what I find is most designers are terrible boundaries. And they will say that they're going to control that, but they don't. And so what happens is they'll say, oh, I can't bill for that. I shouldn't charge for that because that's too much. I shouldn't do that. Or my employees are taking too long to do things. And then they end up writing down their bills, and it ends up they are not making what they should be making, even if they're doing a fixed fee. So I find that that's probably one of the biggest areas where you can run into trouble. Very quickly, yes.
I'm not sure, but on a previous slide, I didn't get that you were suggesting one or the other. I thought that maybe you suggested a combination at some point
You can.
if it was applicable.
You can. Yeah, there is one that's a hybrid approach, and
Right.
sometimes people can do a fixed fee at the beginning because that's an area where you can control that more. If you can control what you're doing and you know that in the first stage maybe you're going to do all of the initial selections, you'll do a schematic for them, you'll do the schematic phase, that's an easy one to control. Where you get in trouble is the part where you're doing the execution of the project and where your time billing is never, if you're doing a fixed fee, you can just get eaten alive on that. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Find is the best way to communicate with current clients that you're going to be raising your rates? Like you
Have a letter, and you do it every year. You put it in your contract. So in your contract, you should have a phrase in your contract that says, we raise our rates each year in January. And so just make sure it's already there so they know that. And I would have a letter that is prepared and say, this year our rates are going up to X. And you have a letter that you send out every January.
And how do you find is the best way to communicate markup?
It depends, because there are so many ways that people approach this. Some people will say, we do straight retail. And the reason they do that is because they don't necessarily have to say what their markup is. Some people like complete transparency, and that's up to you. But I can promise you that your clients will probably negotiate with you, because they're going to look at what you mark it up, and they're looking at how much you're making, but they're not relating that to a benefit to them. So in most cases, what I did when I was running my business is I did MSRP less a discount, or I would do MSRP, one of the two. And that way, we just didn't have that conversation. It was just a very straightforward way of going about it. So those are a couple of suggestions. Yes.
One of the best comments a client of mine said, she was a very smart businesswoman and had just retired, and I asked her, would you like to do a flat rate? Because there are some coaches who are fixed fee, fixed fee, fixed fee, right?
I used to.
I'm more the hourly bandwagon. But I asked her, would you like to consider a fixed fee? And she said, I tried that in my business, and if you do a fixed fee, someone always loses. And I thought, it's
love that.
probably true, right?
Yeah.
So when I talk to clients about it, I say, you have more control. Because
Right.
if you think you're paying too many design hours, well, let's make decisions a little faster. But why don't we answer an I don't say that, but in our heads, we're like,
Yeah, exactly.
if I were just
exactly.
working for you and you answered everything, this would have been done a year ago. So I just thought, I've never forgotten that comment. I thought it made so much sense.
Repeat that one more time.
That if you do a fixed fee, someone loses. So someone comes out on top and someone comes out on the bottom, and there isn't a lot of control for either of you. If the hours are mounting, you have to go to that uncomfortable place of saying, well, Mrs. Smith, this was supposed to be 200 hours and I'm already in at 350. I think it just sours the relationship.
It does on one side or the other, just like you said. And what happens is you get really resentful after a while if you go over
Right.
the hours, right? And here's the worst. We, as designers, we get so busy, and they'll say, while you're at it, which is the worst thing to hear, while you're at it, would you look at my daughter's room? I'm really thinking about X, Y, Z. And what do? You give away free advice, right? And you don't charge for it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the client expects you, because you gave free advice, that it's all going to be free. So their position shifts immediately the minute that you do that. So you have to stop yourself and say, okay, you know what, Mrs. Smith, I would love to help you with your daughter's room. Let me give you an addendum to the agreement, and we'll add that into the project. Okay? So you want to be sure that you're having that conversation and the client knows that that is an additional fee that is going to be coming, right? Yes. Sure.
In the sense that the longer I do design and the more exposure I have to more products and more resources, that I will be with the client and my brain is already like designing the room.
Of course
and I already
it is,
know
yeah.
like what lines I'm going to go to, and so I want to get paid for that expertise. Because I'm doing all the research, say here at Market, I can go
Sure.
design that room in my head right now, but I haven't billed them for anything yet. So I'm
Yes.
curious about kind of a hybrid approach where
Yes.
you get paid for your knowledge and your research and your creativity, but you're,
That's called intellectual property, and yes, that's a really good idea. So the first phase of your project is usually schematic. So raise your rates. In that particular part, if you want to do a fixed fee, then maybe put in a really high fee, and it's way higher than you think it's going to take you to do that particular part of the project. You can start there, and then from there you can bill hourly too. So think about that, and you can also do your markups. So you can do a combination, there's no problem. But just remember that your intellectual property it's up here, and they don't have it until you give it to them. So be careful not to give away your expertise in that intellectual property without charging adequately for it. When it comes to the back end of the project and you're starting to get into the contract administration and all of that design development, that is a little bit more, it doesn't take as much of your intellectual capital. So you can have team members do that part because it doesn't require you to design that creative part, right? So charge more at the beginning if you're going to do a fixed fee. Okay, other questions? Great questions, by the way.
I guess my question is more so about the hours that get missed. So like now with technology, with text messaging and quick phone calls, and even something you mentioned intellectual property, like
Yes.
I do a lot of design work while I'm taking a shower, driving to appointments, or here at Highmark, or High Point, like while we're looking and saying like maybe this light fixture could go in this house and
Sure.
this could go here. So it's like so much design time that is not necessarily on our timesheets.
Okay, a couple of things, little tips I'll give you here. First of all, 2 o'clock in the morning is one of my favorite times to be doing work. And I wake up, not my favorite time, but I do it a lot at 2 o'clock. And when I'm doing that, yes, I am working on that client's project. So the next morning, the first thing you should do is jot down how long did I spend thinking about that client's project and bill them for the time, because my gosh, it doesn't matter when you do it, it's really that you did it. The other thing that I would suggest to you is that how many of us are ADHD? Okay, all of us have a little of that in us. So one of the things that I suggest is when you're going to have your ADHD hours, which we have those within the day, we get to the point we're tired and we can't really focus, and we start just picking up the phone, we're doing an email, we're doing a text. Break it into 4 pieces, so 15-minute segments. If you have 4 projects you're thinking about during that time, charge each one 15 minutes, okay? And just do that. It's just so simple. It's like the attorneys do that. They'll charge you by like every 5 minutes. So if you go with 15 and you round it up, so those times that you forgot to bill them for your text messages and your emails and all those things, you're going to pick it up somewhere. So don't feel bad when you've only spent 5 minutes and you billed them 15. Because I promise you, you did it somewhere, right? So don't shortchange yourself. Go ahead and put those 15-minute segments in. And if you are, I'm a huge fan of time blocking. I've done this for at least a decade. And time blocking is putting it into your calendar before you start your day. You plan your day, you plan what projects you're working on, how long you're spending on each project, and then you just adjust it. So if you spend an hour and a half instead of 2, just change that piece on the calendar so you're keeping track of this. But pick up the rest of that time and just keep it on your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar. It's a great way of helping you remember what you did. Try to get your time billing in every single day. You should do time billing even if you do fixed fees. I promise you, you are spending so much time on things that you don't realize you're spending. And that's where people end up losing money. Got another couple questions over here. 3. All right. Hey, 2 seconds. Oh, we'll come
This
to you.
is kind of a different topic, but back on your last slide
Sure.
about lowering your overhead.
Uh-huh.
What do you say to do that? Like, I'm not sure how to do that.
Okay, so a lot of people travel as an overhead expense. So you're coming here to High Point Market. So you can stay at Holiday Inn versus the proximity, right? So that's a way you can cut your overhead. I'd rather stay at the proximity, but of course I'm practical about that. So you can do things like that. You also in there is your salaries. Who do you have on salary? Who are you paying as a contractor to do work for you. And maybe for some people, especially during this really weird time that we've been through, some people are using more contractors and outsourcing because they don't have somebody on salary for the whole period of the year, and they're also not paying them for all their time off and their holidays, all of those things. So sometimes it's the best way to go is to do outsourcing. So that's a great way to cut it. Okay, some more questions up here. There are lots of apps.
Anyone?
Harvest, Clockify, Studio Designer, those are a couple of apps that you could use. Okay, anybody else? ClickUp, okay, yeah. Which is also a project management tool, yes. So you've got the dual duty, yeah. ClickUp. And you can also use Harvest with Asana, and Asana is project management, and then you can use Harvest with it.
So I'm new to furniture and
Okay.
designing. So how much time, like I might be taking more time to research because I'm new to it.
Right.
So what is like fair when you're starting this? Like what is the fair amount of time you should account for, you know?
Well, first try to set a budget for yourself for how much time you think you're going to spend on it and see how accurate you are with your time. And try to start cutting that time more and more and more so that you get more efficient. I think it's really important for you to track all the time, even if you're not going to charge the client for all the time. I hate to see people do redlining, but Erin, when she started with me almost 20 years ago as an intern for me, she saw me redlining all of her stuff, and I would cut her time because it was taking her too long. So start setting time budgets for yourself, and you're going to find that you can start getting your time compacted. You want to be efficient with what you're doing. Okay? Sure. Another question back here.
The luxury market is booming
Depends on where you are. Where are you located?
in Houston, Texas.
Houston's
And
still
I would
pretty good.
say it's a little quieter right now.
Yeah.
It's slower. I don't have as much inbound stuff coming, and we haven't changed anything. Probably last year I would get 7 to say 20 inquiries per month, and 1 or 2 might be qualified and 1 or 2 might be a client. Now it's a couple a month. And business is still good because I've got some good referrals, but I notice it's quieter.
Yeah.
Also, I think there's a lot of weird stuff happening with Google. I mean, my marketing team is telling me the algorithms are all over the place. WordPress is fighting with somebody else, and so our website has weird stuff happening, and we're
Yeah.
getting weird messages. But overall, from a financial standpoint, I know it's the election a little bit,
Yep.
but
It's
what else?
election, it's the economy overall. We've had, the inflation has been high. We've had all sorts of issues with just the cost of goods have gone up.
Yeah, hugely.
Yeah, so the costs have gone up, and that has been huge for a lot of clients. So a lot of people are really gun shy right now because they're seeing that it's costing them more to do their homes than they ever thought it would. The other thing that I think has happened, and we can't forget that we have a little bit of that coma after that we went through COVID. So we have a COVID coma. And essentially what happened is everybody was in their home all the time, and they wanted to get their house fixed. As soon as COVID stopped, they started traveling. They started doing other things. They started buying other luxury goods like purses and, clothing and things again. So what we're seeing is that people are now shifting where their money is going versus the house where it was. So we had that extra period of time. And the other thing that was interesting about COVID is that, our company had an SBA loan. Most companies did. And things were great. They were able to spend that money during that time. And the clients were willing to spend money on their homes. So we've had all of those things impacting us. But on the good side, at least we're going to have some certainty in about a week. And we will know what we're dealing with. And that is going to change people's attitude about coming back and spending money. So, yeah, it has been weird. And I've seen it across the country. And we work with clients everywhere. So, yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. Before we have any more questions, I want to share with you, we have an event coming up in a few weeks. And if you've ever wanted to work with us, or if you would like to really shift your business quickly, this is a no-risk situation for you. we ask that you apply for this, and it's really simple. You can do that with this little QR code. And you put in a $1,000 deposit. We give it right back to you when you come. And Jana came to that, and she got her check when she came, and then she has become a client since then. But it is, I don't know if you'd be willing to talk about it. Sure. Yeah. Do we? Yeah, it's a really cool event, and we teach you everything from marketing to mindset to whatever else. 2 days live with us, with the whole team.
So I was a little bit skeptical, I'll be honest.
Good.
But it's been a fantastic decision. And Gail, you'll be happy to know I raised my rates with my newest client.
Yay.
And I just sold a big furniture package and I charged more.
Yay. You just paid for your program.
Yeah. And just Friday, we got our first design, build, and furnish project.
Yay.
So my husband's a builder, so we transitioned our business from interior design and remodeling to new build and design. And so I was like, Gail, I don't know how to do this. This is scary. Like, you know, I'm working crazy hours to support the construction side of our business until we change over. And so Business Breakthrough was wonderful for me because it really showed me, like she said, the small things we could do that have already started to make a big impact for our business. And I was like, what do you mean it's free? This doesn't sound right. But we paid our money, and they gave us a check back. And I was like, well, my gosh, I would feel guilty taking this back because we learned so much. And we made great connections with other designers. We met another husband and wife design team that lives in Dallas. We live in San Antonio, and we went to dinner with them. And it's great for networking with other designers. I have a few projects in Denver. I've met Denver designers now, so I can call them and say, who do I use for wallpaper? You know, who do I need for drapes? So I don't have to fly my person from San Antonio, which was I was doing before. But it's just, so far, and we've only been a client for, what, a month? Or, yeah. Couple months.
Yeah.
But I already see the impacts that it's making on our business. So Gail knows what she's talking about. And I highly recommend them, so. And they didn't even know I was going to be here today, so just.
I did not know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. Yeah. So if you have a chance, it's on November 10th and 11th, and it's a really great opportunity. We provide lunch for you, and we provide a workbook, and we teach you a lot in 2 days. You will walk out with a very full brain, and hopefully a full all day, 2 days. Yep. And it's about 7 hours a day, 14 hours. But it's worth flying in, and it's so fun. It's a really cool area of Denver. So if you can do this, and if you're interested, we like to see people. You'll have to apply for it. Not everybody can fit into it, but we only can take 18 people max. So it's a very small group, and we already have several people signed up. We have them 3 times a year. So we have another one on March 2nd and 3rd next year.
If you can't make November, go ahead and scan the QR code, set up a time to meet with my team, and we'll give you the dates for the next one. It's always in Colorado, which is our backyard.
Good. We'll just scan the code and come. Yeah. You had a question? Okay. All right. Any other questions from this morning's session? Yeah, you'll apply, yeah. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you for coming.